break all the rules, like
Yes,
there's so many of
yes.
these rules around plus size fashion. You shouldn't wear horizontal stripes, or you should always cover your arms, or you should always wear something that shows off your shape. Like, don't do all that. It's so much more freeing when you find things that you actually like to wear.
Have you ever imagined fashion being as diverse as human culture? Have you ever dreamed of a respectful, ethical, and socially just fashion industry? Have you ever envisioned sustainability being at the core of the entire fashion system? This is your host, Laura Beltrán-Rubio. I'm a fashion curator, researcher, and educator. My mission is to translate scholarly insights into actionable strategies that we can all take to reshape how we create, wear, and think about fashion. So find a comfortable seat, brew some tea, and open your notebook as you join me in the quest for redressing fashion.
Hello, hello, my dear fashion friends. Welcome to a new episode of Redressing Fashion. Today, I'm super excited to bring a guest that I deeply admire, Kaitlyn. She's a plus size lifestyle creator based in the Bay Area in California, and she has really built an entire kind of reputation on social media and on the internet for encouraging folks of all shapes and sizes to live their lives with confidence. She is a body image advocate. She's also a cat mom of four, a line dancer, and I actually love her line dancing classes. I tend to join online whenever I can, whenever the time difference allows me to do it. She is a pickleball enthusiast, avid reader, expecting mother of her first baby this summer, and also a podcaster and, well, and an influencer, which I already mentioned. I am super excited to talk with her about her philosophy of being a fat girl just existing on the internet and in her real life, about fashion and fatness, or like what it means to engage with fashion as a fat person, and conversely, all of the things that the fashion industry is not doing really great when it comes to the inclusiveness of fat people. We also have a second guest who is just here with me. This is Gobi, who I'm dog sitting these days, so you might see her pop around throughout the episode. This is a fantastic conversation. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did recording it. Hi, Kaitlyn. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I'm super excited to have you on the podcast because, first of all, I think you are super clever. I love the content that you share. And through your content and through your experiences, I think I've been able to think about fashion in a different way. And I think I've opened my eyes to different approaches to fashion and to shopping, and I would love to share that with my audience. So I think really that is the reason for this invitation. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, I'm honored you asked. I love to talk about this kind of stuff. I think you as well have been eye-opening and educational at my viewpoint of fashion too. I'm not a historian or a professor like you, but hopefully I have some insight to share. So
Yeah, absolutely. So let us start with your journey with fashion. Can you share with us how you started, and especially how you became an influencer sharing fashion, life experiences, and lifestyle more broadly?
sure. I've always considered myself to be like a fashionista. I grew up going to private school, which meant I wore a school uniform all the time. And so there wasn't a lot of room to express yourself. So I was always finding ways through accessories, scarves, necklaces, shoes, like anything that I could add a little bit of my personality. I did. And then on the rare occasion that we had like a free dress day where we didn't have to wear a school uniform, I was like dressed to the nines. This was my chance to like show my style. I've always been a lover of color, of patterns. You will hardly see me wearing like neutrals or a plain like all black outfit. That's just not me. It just makes me happy. As far as how it evolved on social media, I kind of I didn't set out to become an influencer. When I started my social media journey, it started as a bit of a personal diary. I transformed my personal Instagram into kind of what it is now. And I started sharing, I was healing my relationship with my body and with food. And I kind of just started sharing my experiences a little bit just to who I knew at the time. It was still friends and family. And I thought to myself, if at least one person can relate or one person feels less alone, like great. And then I slowly started to like follow other people who were sharing those kind of messages. And I went, oh, wait, like people do this as a job. People do this as like a real platform thing. I would love to do this and like make a difference. And so I kind of started exploring what that might look like, started expanding to a broader, more public audience. And of course, that included fashion because I enjoy it. And especially as I was healing my relationship with my body, figuring out how to dress myself in a new size in a body that had gained weight, shopping at new stores that I hadn't previously. So expressing myself in that way and finding confidence in that way. And it just slowly kind of snowballed into now I have a large audience that appreciates it and follows me for that, which is great. But I didn't set out as like, I'm going to be a fashion influencer. I just was sharing my life and this is what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I hadn't really planned on asking you about this, but I think one of the things that I know about your personal story that you have shared about is this kind of difference between thinness and healthiness. And I think you have actually, and you alluded to your own history with changing body sizes. So I think that's why I'm thinking about it right now. But you have shared photos of yourself being much, much thinner. I think you were a performer also at the time, but then that doesn't necessarily correlate to your own health. And so I wanted to ask if you can share maybe a little bit more about that. And then the other question that I think is related that I have at this point is also the label of fat girl, and that's kind of your tagline. That's what you have become famous for in the internet. You're a fat girl just existing, and I think that's important too, right? The word choice I think is very important.
Yeah, they kind of go together. Like you said, my tagline is fat girl just existing. It started as plus size girl just existing, and there was a reason why I switched those words, and I'll explain in a second. But starting in about 2020, maybe 2019, I started healing from a binge eating disorder. I had gained some weight. I was at my smallest weight when I was in college, and it was really unhealthy for me. I did some pretty extreme things to get to that point. I was at a really awful relationship with food, with my body image, with exercise. And even though I had hit what I considered like my goal weight or my goal size, it wasn't enough. It didn't compute in my brain because my body image was just so skewed. And so as I started to I started recognizing I had an eating disorder. I started healing from the eating disorder, which caused me to gain weight. And that was a little bit jarring because you think like, oh, at least, my thought process at the time went, the reason I sought healing was because I was gaining weight. I thought, oh, there's something wrong. I need to do something about this. When in actuality, my body was trying to tell me, yes, something is wrong and you're not in a healthy spot. And so as a result of healing and as a result of life, it's been like 10 years since I first recognized that I had an eating disorder. I have gained weight. I'm probably like 100 pounds different than I was in college. And it's taken a long time to kind of wrap my brain around that. But what I've learned through my healing journey is that the size of my body is the least interesting thing about me. And to your point, that the size of my body doesn't have anything to do with my health. You can look at my side-by-side photos of the smaller version of me and the current version of me and go, well, clearly she's let herself go or something has happened. But if you compare like my actual habits, I was binge eating, I was exercising to like really bad extremes. I had all of these horrible, horrible habits. And my metabolism was probably like all out of whack versus now I eat healthy. I move my body regularly. But not out of punishment, out of joy. I get good sleep. I manage my stress. Like those things are so much more important than the number on the scale. And so I started stumbling across this kind of like, where am I going to fall on social media? Because when you exist in a larger body on the internet, a lot of times people put you in either one of two camps. Either you're like all body positive, self-love all the time, or you're on some kind of weight loss or health journey. And I'm not really in either of those camps.
Yeah.
No, no hate to either of those camps, to each their own, but I think there's a lot more people that fall kind of in the middle, where I do like my body most of the time, but like I said, it's the least interesting thing about me. And I'm not looking to change it either. So I'm kind of just existing, so that's how I stumbled across this phrase. And then adding the fat girl to it, like I said, I used to say plus size, but plus size is really a label more fashion related. You can be plus size and not necessarily, like, you can fit in plus sizes and not necessarily actually be fat, really. And the reason I changed from plus size to fat is because people have this kind of weird stigma around the word fat, right? Like it's a little bit jarring. It's a little bit off-putting. Most people don't use it in a positive or neutral way. The reason I use it is to neutralize it as a word. So if you hear me call myself fat and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, then you go, oh, maybe it's okay for me to also be fat. In the same way I would say that I'm tall, I'm blonde, I'm pregnant, like those are all descriptors. Fat is just one of them. So sometimes people go, oh, why would you say that? You're not fat, you're beautiful. And I go, no. Those aren't antonyms.
Yeah.
It's just another word. So yeah, it's a way to neutralize and normalize the word, and have it a little bit less a little bit less connected to fashion as opposed to the word plus size.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned that, I was talking to someone about recording this interview a couple days ago, and I said, this is this fat influencer, and they were like, oh, you shouldn't say that. Like, be respectful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, first of all, this is
Like she says it, I promise. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, it's not disrespectful. I'm actually like, I admire her. I'm saying this with admiration, but then also that's what she calls herself. And so
Right.
I also want to validate that. And then I also think there's something to be said about making these labels that are at the end, they're just like labels. They don't necessarily have to be good or bad. Make them more common and make it more visible, I think, because yes, especially in fashion, we don't really see a lot of people that are not like ultra thin, not even just like not fat, but like there's a lot of extreme thinness. And I think recently it has like gone back to like really, really dangerous body standards in fashion. And so I think it's important for people like you to like enter the scene and talk about fashion. And then if you label yourself as fat, I think that's also valid. But then I think I agree with you in the sense that it also helps other people and more people recognize themselves within, well, fashion and social media and just like the world in general, right? And then to your point about plus size, and here what I'm thinking is really just as a fashion historian, the idea of plus size fashion is, first of all, a recent invention. And there's a great book about it that's called Fashion Before Plus Size by Lauren Downing Peters. And basically, what she says is this was sort of a category that was invented for people with larger bodies that are not always even like really large as a result of a very exclusive industry that promotes a very specific and very actually like reductive and exclusive again ideal of body size and beauty, I think. And even before she published this book, there's an article that I read ages ago when I was a master's student about bloggers actually back in the day when influencers were mostly bloggers before social media or before the rise of social media. And they actually also called themselves fat fashion bloggers. And I think part of the argument, at least of this article, was not only making the category a little bit more visible and kind of taking away the violence, the perceived violence in the word fat, but then also taking away other ideas about health and like the medicalization of fashion or the equation of fashion with like obesity, with other health issues and like other disorders. Because they're not necessarily equivalent, and the existence of one doesn't necessarily imply another. And so I think this is a label that many people have adopted for different reasons, but I think it pushes back against the idea of this plus size that is not real is an invention. And in addition to being an invention, like the idea of plus already separates people that many times are, average, especially when compared with like global populations
Right.
in size, from this really actually minority that's much smaller in size.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. Like I'm pretty sure in America, and I think in the UK as well, the average size of a woman is like size 16, size 18, which is about my size. If that's the average, like that should be the middle of your size range. And yet it's almost always the top, if not completely excluded. And it just makes no like business sense to me. Like why people would choose to exclude plus sizes. You're excluding like literally half of the market. It's wild to me.
Yeah, yeah, I say this all the time. It makes no sense. And sometimes designers are like, well, because for the shapes and like the molds and the patterns, they have to be different. I'm like, I don't care. Then create them differently. Like, this is
Right.
stupid. Business wise, it's stupid.
You're like people I'll talk about like occasionally when brands offer plus sizes, often there's a price difference as well, which is
Mm.
super frustrating. And they go, well, of course, like a 2X is going to be more expensive than a medium because like the fabric, more fabric, and it's a different size and whatever. And I'm like, there's a bigger difference between extra small and extra large than there is between extra large and 1X. Like it's really not that much more fabric. It's you're just making excuses.
Yeah, I think so too. And they are terrible excuses most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, going back actually to something that I mentioned, I also, because I saw you nodding, I personally feel that there was this kind of rise of like body positivity on one side, but then also just like more diversity in general. We were seeing people of different body shapes, different abilities, maybe even also different like skin tones, things like that in fashion. And I think recently, definitely over the past year, couple years, but it probably started a little bit earlier than that. I feel that there has been a sort of regression. And so there aren't as many conversations about body positivity, but then also I think there's less visibility in some ways of people that call themselves fat, or just like people that kind of fall within different expressions of diversity in fashion and in social media. Do you also feel this?
Definitely. Yeah. I think as someone who started her social media career kind of at what felt like the height of body positivity, like 2019, 2020, it's been really interesting to watch the decline. Like I didn't really expect that when it was
No.
at its height. I was like, this is great. This is exactly like the message that I'm trying to share. Like I'm so glad everybody's accepting. We were having curvier models on magazine covers and brands launching extended sizes and all this kind of stuff. And it felt like everyone's finally with the program. And then after like 2 3 years you started to realize, oh, it was actually just a trend. Like it was actually just your brand started pulling back their extended sizes, and they said, oh, they didn't sell very well. As someone who makes money on social media, I've seen less and less opportunities for me as a creator in 2020 2021. It was like, yeah, we need more curvy people in this campaign. And now it's like, actually, you're not our target audience. We're going to go back to the influencers and the creators that we've always used. And it's become clear that it was a profiteering, like effort. It was a way to expand their audience, to get more money, to hop on a trend. And now the trend is thinness. And we've gone in the complete opposite direction. So that's really disheartening. And I think it's not just social media. I mean, we see it in Hollywood. Hollywood is getting, skin and bones. It's terrifying. And that leads the trends as well. Pop culture influences brands and media, and therefore social media. Yeah, it sucks. It's definitely happening. Plus size brands are closing left and right. They are getting rid of their plus sizes in the stores. Like we've already spent so many years only being able to shop online. And now for a couple years, it was like, yeah, we'll put them all in stores. And then now they're like, no, you can get them online. Even plus size brands like Lane Bryant, for example, as a popular plus size brand, they're known for like having a really wide range of bra sizes. And now they're going and rolling back some of those larger sizes in their store. And I'm like, you're supposed to be a store for these people. And
Yes.
you're not. You're just taking it back. So it's disheartening. On one hand, I try to stay a little bit optimistic about it because, like, having seen this kind of pendulum swing, I'm hoping that we'll do it again. Like give us another 5-10 years and maybe we will see another rise of body positivity. I think the other reason that it's fallen off, not just because it was this marketing trend, but it's become much more in the Ozempic culture that we have right now. It's become much more socially acceptable to pursue thinness, right? For a while, with the rise of body positivity, there was this understanding of like, we're not going to diet. Actually, dieting is like not super great for our health, and we're all going to like our bodies, and it's great to be healthy, but healthy doesn't mean skinny, etc. And now it's like, actually, we didn't believe that at all. We just now have a magic solution and we all wanted to be skinny anyway. And people equate body positivity with unhealthiness, which we've talked about is inaccurate. You can be healthy in a variety of body sizes, but people think that if you're choosing to love your body and therefore you're not pursuing thinness, that you don't care about your health, and that's just blatantly incorrect. So people go, oh, it's not that I'm not body positive, it's just that I care about my health more. And I'm like, no, they aren't opposites, but that's just the mainstream thing now. Pursuing the illusion of health, pursuing thinness instead of body acceptance.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is definitely a rise of diet culture in general. And well, yes, and then Ozempic and like all of these other like interventions that you can make on your body to make it thinner. And it's interesting to me to also think about it because there's this equation between thinness and healthiness, but is it really healthy to, I don't know, for example, take these medicines that are not intended for like your normally functioning body to be thinner? And like, I'm no health expert here, but it's a question that I always have. Like, really, is that really healthier? It doesn't sound to me.
I was just talking to a friend about this because she went on a vacation with her family, and like a lot of her family are taking these medications for the weight loss reasons, not for other health reasons. And she was describing like the habits of some of her family members. And what happens a lot, I think, with people who take these medications is they're not actually making any lifestyle changes. They're not eating healthier or getting better sleep or moving their body more often. They're just now taking this medication. And so like when people say, oh, I'm trying to be healthier, but then they just get skinnier and nothing about their life has actually changed, I'm like, then are you actually pursuing health, or are you just pursuing thinness? Because those are two different things.
Yeah, exactly. That's what blows my mind about all of this kind of equation of thinness and healthiness, which, I mean, we've said it many times now. It just doesn't, it's not like that. It just doesn't exist.
And people in my comments love to say that it does. And my favorite like kind of analogy is like, you always know someone who is smaller than you that like has worse habits than you, right? You always know someone who's bigger than you, who can run faster, who can lift stronger, who can what, like, if you have those examples and okay, this person who I know is thin has a really unhealthy lifestyle, then you can't assume that every other thin person is healthy. If you see this one fat person that and go, actually, they live a really healthy lifestyle, then you can't assume that every fat person is unhealthy. And like, they like to go, oh, but being fat increases all your chances of these diseases and et cetera, et cetera. Everybody gets diseases. Thin people get cancer, fat people get cancer. Like, it's not the body's fault. A lot of times it's habitual, or it's genetic, or it's whatever. Like they blame body size on so many factors of health when it's really, there's so many other factors of health.
Yeah, it's the whole kind of package. And what you say, like genetics influences it, like habits, routines, a lot of other things, probably also like where you live, where you come from, things like that as well. So yeah, you can't really just like blame this one thing that society seems to have a sort of obsession about for that.
It's crazy. Like, speaking of plus size fashion and health, a lot of times people they tell fat people on the internet, go to the gym. Okay, we can't even buy activewear in our size. Like, what? Like there, or we get judged when we go to the gym. Or if we are working out, then they go, "You shouldn't be wearing that. You should be wearing something else." Okay, I'd love to. I can't find anything else to wear. Like they want us to become thinner, but they don't actually give you any opportunity to do so. There's something I do often. I wear a lot of graphic t-shirts, and so I will like cut them up or DIY them in certain ways. And one of the things that I do is, because I'm pear shaped, so I'm like smaller on the top, bigger on the bottom. If the shirt is tight on my hips, I like to just cut a slit like in the side of it so it's a little bit flowier on the bottom. And most people love this. They think it's great. But then there's the other half of people that go, or you could just lose weight instead of cutting the shirt. And I'm like, hey, which one of these is faster, first of all? Even if I was pursuing weight loss, I still need clothes to wear. I still like want to feel cute in the shirt that I have. Or they go, just buy a bigger size. This isn't a sizing issue, it's a shape issue. But people love to just go, anytime you have like any kind of clothing hack, they go, or you could just lose weight, or you could mind your business. Or I'm offering a solution that is immediate versus something that would take years and years, even if I wanted to.
Yeah. And I also love this solution because it's not, I think I, as a stylist, more than as a fashion historian, but I guess they influence each other, I kind of avoid talking too much about body shapes because I have a feeling that a lot of people lean into body shapes with the intention to make their bodies look leaner. And so this whole idea of like learning to dress for your body shape is a lot about learning to conceal your curves to make your body look just like thinner and longer. And I don't think that's the point of fashion at all. It's not the point of style at all. But listening to you, and I've seen you do this with your t-shirts, and I think you've published like tutorials and things like that. It's something that you do all the time. And from what I can see on this side of your social media accounts, I feel that people love it. But I think part of the reason maybe why they love it, and what you were just talking about, is that it's not about making your body look leaner. It's about making the clothes fit your body, which I think is actually how it should be. You should not like alter your body so that you can fit into the clothes. And you should also not wear uncomfortable clothes just because someone told you that they look better. They just need to adapt to your body. And if the market is not offering you the types of clothes that you need, then you can take action to make them fit your body. And I love that.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. Like, if you flip the script, you probably don't ever see people in comments going, oh, like this shirt is too big. And they go, oh, you should gain weight. Nobody says that. Or you should, maybe that you're not filling out a top the way that you want to. Oh, you should get like a breast augmentation. Nobody says that. But there's the assumption that fat people should change their body and not just wear clothes that they like or clothes that fit. And like we used to all, I'm not good at like time periods, but like, clothes used to be tailor made to you. People used to get their clothes tailored all the time. And there wasn't ever this like, oh, it's your fault, or, oh, you should change your body to do it. It was like, no, we're going to change the clothes to fit you. That was the assumption. And so now, because there's just so many brands, and clothes also are very different. They're stretchier. They have different shapes and whatnot. Like there's this assumption that everything you buy should be like ready to wear, but that's just not the case, especially for fat people.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I mean, sizes have existed for a while, but this like going and shopping standard sizes that we have now, that's something that's what, like 100 years old, only just 100 years, like out of the entire history of humanity. And still, I think a lot of people who have the possibility still get their clothes tailored made because all bodies are different in the end. And there's nothing better than having clothes that fit you perfectly. But of course, I mean, this is also more expensive. It's rarer because the industry is promoting just like selling ready-made sizes. Well, and it's also more convenient in so many ways as well. But
right.
Yeah, but that's something just really, really recent in history.
Yeah, my mom is a seamstress, and so she tailored a lot of my clothes growing up, especially the uniform stuff, because like I could buy the same khaki skirt as everybody else, but I have a curvier shape and it wasn't going to fit. If it fits my hips, it's not going to fit my waist, right? So she was always lengthening things or taking in the waist or whatnot. And it really helped me kind of get rid of the illusion of being a specific size, because I could buy things 1-2 sizes bigger or smaller, and my mom would work her magic. she'd make it work. So it would go, oh, what's she wearing in that? I don't know. It's tailored, like And she could do that now. So it's like I don't put any stock into all the dresses in my closet are a size 16 or a size 18 or whatever. I go, all the dresses in my closet fit, and they're all a variety. Well, let's not even get started about like sizing being arbitrary, but like the
Yes.
privilege of my mom being able to take up all my clothes was like it really helped kind of not put too much stock into the number on the tag.
Well, I actually want to go back to shopping because that's the other thing. First of all, yes, sizes are completely arbitrary and they vary depending on the brand and like where the brand's from and, a lot of different things. I think over time, someone must have studied this. Over time, they have probably changed as well as like body ideals have changed and things like that. But also, you mentioned it before, physically going shopping is a difficult experience, especially for fat people, because there's not enough sizes that are available, especially like on the stores. And so it's very difficult to go shopping, but it can also be, I think, a very violent experience in different ways. So I wanted to ask you about this experience of shopping as a fat person.
Yeah, it's especially in the last couple of years, it's gotten a lot harder. I always think like one of the main privileges of being in a smaller size is if you like went on a trip and you lost your luggage and you needed to like go buy new things for this trip, you'd be able to. If I went to vacation and who knows what, maybe I'll go to Hawaii, maybe I go to Europe, maybe like whatever, it would be really difficult for me to replace my wardrobe upon my destination because majority of brands do not carry, in general, don't carry plus sizes. And even if they do, they only carry them online, which doesn't make any sense because if you're in a curvier body, sizing is already difficult. Like you're gonna need to try things on. I'm probably gonna grab two sizes. So if I have to order two sizes online, that's already twice the money. And then I have to spend the money to send it back. And sometimes brands, like smaller brands, don't have a refund policy. So you're only getting store credit. So you're like, great, I'm gonna spend $200 and hope that these things fit. And if they don't, then I have to eventually find other things that fit. And like, I'm already out the money. I don't just get to like return it. Brands like American Eagle and Abercrombie who carry supposedly like up to XXL, which they call like a 20, maybe 22, and they carry like up to 24, I think, in jeans, which is really not that high, but they think it is. They won't even carry those sizes in the store. They'll only carry up to size XL. And it's frustrating because you're like, why advertise that you have it if I can't go get it? Like, I live in a pretty urban location. I have access to a mall and, Target and some of these like big box stores. There's only two places that I can shop in person near me. And that's Old Navy. They carry up to their 4X in store. And I also wear a size XL in their brand, which is like kind of a vanity sizing thing, I think. So I very often can find my size there. And then I have a Torrid, which is a plus size brand, an actual store near me. Those are the two places that I could go in, grab something off the rack, and know it's going to fit. Target, maybe, but they've slowly been rolling out their plus sizes. And especially as I'm currently pregnant, maternity shopping, even more of a nightmare. It doesn't even exist in stores. And like all of the stores at the mall, Macy's, JCPenney, American Eagle, all these places, like maybe when I was like a 14, 16, I could probably get away with it. But being a size 18 is just like a little bit over the threshold that they don't have it in the store. And I have a lot of stores around me. So it's crazy that I really only have the option of like two of them. People complain about the dressing room experience no matter what size you are, right? Like it's not a fun time. Trying to find jeans that fit just kind of sucks as a woman in general. But even more so if you're in a curvier fat body, it's more time, it's more money. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, fitting rooms, because you're placing your body in a vulnerable place by, like, trying on these clothes that are not necessarily going to fit. And that also means that you might not feel great about yourself just because of the clothes. But then when you add, I think, this like external body policing over fat bodies to the already existing vulnerability of the dressing room and the trying on clothes, and it can get very, I think, harsh very quickly when you
Yeah,
start having all the layers.
totally. And the lighting could be bad and the mirror could be warped and you're already trying to squeeze into the largest size they have in the store, and it's hot and the music's loud. Like, it's just a very overstimulating experience. I went to a store, I did like a pop-up workout class, and they partnered with an activewear brand, Fabletics, who carries up to a 4X. I like Fabletics. They have great activewear. I've really enjoyed them. And they were like, if you do this workout class, you can get like a discount to the Fabletics store. There's a Fabletics store near me, and you can go like pick out a piece, whatever. So I'm like, great, because Fabletics has my size. Not in the store, they don't. So I go in there, they only have up to XL. I think I found like one XXL, and I was like, ooh, I might get lucky if somebody returns something online into the store. But it's things like that where they probably didn't even think, like, there might be other people of other sizes taking this workout class that wouldn't be able to use this discount or whatever. But it goes back to the assumption of like, fat people aren't active, so why would they be taking the workout class, right? So it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I guess it is. And then the other thing that I'm thinking, and I think we have talked about this briefly in the past, is sustainability as well. Because sustainability is one of those other things in the fashion industry that kind of rose, became a trend, and now it's like declining again. But when sustainability took hold, there was this whole move to buy less on the internet, shop more in store, go and try the clothes that you're buying, reduce your carbon footprint, don't order things in several sizes so that you can try them at home, so that you don't have to return them, to reduce this carbon footprint. But when thinking about your experience, for example, when you literally cannot go to a shop to get your sizes, and when you also most of the times don't know what size is going to fit you, you need to try more than one size, then this becomes physically impossible. And then what I keep thinking is, what is sustainability after all? Which for me, as a historian and as a fashion scholar, I see sustainability as something that has to do with the environment, yes, but it also has to do with economics. It also has to do with social justice, I think, most importantly. And so, sustainability kind of becomes a complete lie when people have to spend their money, what you were saying. Like, that you are spending money that you might not even get back just to be able to buy your clothes. And then, yes, there are these like microaggressions and the violence of going shopping and everything that happens around it. And so it becomes kind of impossible to engage with sustainability as a fat person. But then on the other side, what I'm thinking is that the fashion industry is failing a lot of people in terms of sustainability, because it's making it impossible for everyone basically to be sustainable, especially when we move beyond the environmental aspects of sustainability. And so, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to just like pick your brain about this.
Yeah, I mean, you said it as you were describing, like, don't shop online as much, or don't order multiple sizes. I'm like, yeah, that would be nice. It's just not possible. People have a big push for thrifting, shop secondhand. And I would love to do that if I had options. I don't have a lot of like cute boutique thrift stores near me. My options are like Goodwill. I have one Goodwill, and I've found like one or two items there, but majority of the time it's a major fast fashion. So I'm seeing a lot of like Shein, a lot of, these Target brands, whatever, that I don't even want to buy secondhand because they're so poorly made. Those are my options. Or there's also, because of the trend of buying things more oversized, then smaller folks go in and buy the plus size items and either tailor them to fit, or they like the actual fit. So when I go to actually find my size, it doesn't exist. And I came across this video the other day of someone who, they made the pants from scratch, but out of some pillowcases, I think, that they thrifted. But I thought they were like plus size pants that they were altering to this very small body. And I was going to be really frustrated because I was like, dang, I would love those pants. Those pants look like they could fit me. And I commented like, oh, thank God you made these and you didn't like thrift them. And I just got destroyed in the comments because people were like, if you want them, you can go get them. Or like, if you need that size of pants, you need to lose weight. Just all these kinds of things that it's like, even if I want to go thrifting or say like, hey, save the plus sizes if you're thrifting and you don't actually need them, people are still mad about it. And having a public platform, people obviously like kind of hold creators and influencers to higher standards. And there's this expectation that I should always be like doing the moral and ethically perfect thing. And so people get really up in arms about shopping at places like Amazon or other fast fashion brands. And part of me goes, yeah, I would love to not support brands like Amazon for ethical reasons, for sustainable reasons. Like, I would love to buy my clothes elsewhere, but it also is one of the only places that I can get my size in something that is on trend or cute or fashionable, or not just like so many of these plus size brands are just black and white t-shirts. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, I'm not a black and white t-shirt gal. I want to wear the cute fun floral dress. And if I'm going to get a cute fun floral dress in my size, it's going to be from a fast fashion brand, unfortunately. I don't have control over that. I can limit my consumption. I'm not making $500 hauls every single week. And majority of the time, even when I do shop on Amazon, I return it. Like, I can't afford to buy 7 new clothing items every single week. Half of my closet might be from Amazon, but I've had it for years. Like, that's my form of sustainability. I'm not buying fast fashion to do it every single week. I'm buying fast fashion because that's what I have access to and can afford, and I'm making it last. I'm not getting rid of things unless they don't fit or they've got holes in them, right? Like, I'm wearing these things until they disintegrate, and they might disintegrate faster than other other items, but like, that's what I'm forced to choose. But yeah, people get up in arms because they go like, oh, you shouldn't buy fast fashion. And I've kind of made this statement recently of a lot of what we've talked about in this episode. I think the weight of shopping responsibly should be on smaller bodies, should be on thinner people who have the ability and the access to buy from these sustainable, slow fashion brands, and not like, it's already hard enough to shop. To also villainize where I'm shopping from is just like another layer that I can't be fighting every single day. And I'm not this Amazon must-have girly. I'm not posting every single day like, you have to get the new fill in the blank. No. I'm trying to share what I already have in my closet. And yes, it happens to be from Amazon, and you can still buy it even though I bought it 2 years ago, like things like that. But yeah, the sustainability and the like plus size fashion conversation is always really interesting because it just is truly not accessible for most people.
Yeah, and it's a nuanced conversation that I think we don't often see, because like there are many things that are coming into play when you make a shopping decision, like regardless of your size really. But then when you start seeing the decisions that you're forced to make, what you were saying, if you can't find clothes that fit you in these brands that are called sustainable, then you can't buy from them. But then also there are people who probably buy tons of clothes all the time and just like get rid of them, like rotate them all the time from sustainable brands. And that's also not doing anything for sustainability. Whereas if you kind of like buy what you can buy and choose to wear it more and take care of it and, enjoy it as much as you can, I think that that's a more sustainable decision than other forms of engaging with your clothes. Sustainability is much more than limiting the quantity. But I think for many people, sustainable fashion is about buying from these very specific brands. And I think that's very far from sustainable fashion. It's much more than that, and it's much more complex than that as well. And yeah, there are these other kind of external factors that the sort of industry imposes on you that we rarely think about. And I think that's my issue with sustainability. I think a lot of the responsibility is given to consumers, and I do believe that as consumers we have the power to exert some sort of like everyday activism through our choices. But I think the responsibility should be in the industry. Like,
Right.
they are the ones that actually need to change things, and maybe also like, governments and other institutions as well.
Right. I know people always go, oh, you shouldn't, I don't know, like, use single-use plastic in your house. You shouldn't use Ziploc bags, or you shouldn't use paper towels or whatever. And it's like, yes, there are small swaps that I can make in my household. I can be conscious about the places that I shop, et cetera, et cetera. I am making a small impact. And of course, if we all do that, even bigger impact. But it's not even going to touch these giant corporations that are just polluting our earth. Like, my choice to use cloth napkins or whatever isn't going to help the oil spills. I can do what I can, but it always gets pushed back to the consumer when really there should be more regulations for like these bigger companies, these bigger brands.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you. I have one last question before we start to close, and it's about your audience. Because you have mentioned a lot of the comments that you receive, especially the negative comments that you receive, but I'm also sure, and I see it because even I myself, not being fat, but like I see your content and it's super refreshing, super inspiring. And I actually recommend it to other people, including some of my clients who might have larger bodies than I have. And so, even though I think there has been like this regression on body positivity, and there's this like return to diet culture and extreme thinness and things like that, I'm pretty sure that there's still a lot of people who value and appreciate what you do. So I wanted to ask you about these maybe more positive interactions with followers, with people that you know on the internet.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I was just talking to my therapist recently about this because as as a fat girl just existing, taking constant photos and videos of myself being online really has helped my own body image because I've gotten so used to what I look like at all times that when I see a candid photo of myself or I see a video from an angle that like whatever might not be my favorite, it's not a jump scare anymore because I've seen enough of them. You know, like I've vlogged my day from every angle that it's not jarring to me, and so sometimes I forget the impact of my content because for me, getting dressed every day is not this uphill battle like it once was. I'm no longer spending every second of every day thinking about the size of my body or what I'm going to eat or what I should or shouldn't be doing as far as movement or food. Those thoughts aren't all consuming anymore. So I kind of forget that they once were, which is great. But I'll get these comments every once in a while or DMs that are like, wow, it's so helpful or it's so inspiring to see you just dressing with confidence and being happy in your body. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forget that like me just putting on my outfit for the day is helpful for somebody. And I used to feel that way when I watched other people's content, like at the beginning of my own healing journey. The reason I ever bought my first two-piece swimsuit in this body was because I saw somebody else do it and they seemed happy and healthy and confident. And I go, if she can do it, I can do it. And so I do get these really positive responses, and it's encouraging to me to remember that even though it might feel monotonous, it does actually have an impact. So I love the positive comments. I love the DMs that I do get.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about just like being able to see yourself or a reflection of yourself, someone that you can identify with in different ways, but of course, body image wise, on like a screen. It doesn't have to only be social media, although I think it's easier to find that on social media than in more traditional media.
Yeah, and I'm about 7 months pregnant. So I've shared a little bit of my pregnancy journey. And mostly like I haven't changed my content to be about pregnancy, but it's mostly like, hey, here are the clothes that fit my pregnant body, you know? And I've gotten a lot of really encouraging messages about that because there's not a lot of plus size pregnant representation on the internet. And also, our bodies can look different than the typical pregnant body. I have a cute bump now, but a lot of people don't end up having that round bump, or maybe they still have like more of an apron belly, or their bellies just look different. That there's this stigma of like, oh, I don't look like the right kind of pregnant look, or I don't feel like I'm going to be cute when I'm pregnant because I'm fat. And like, for me to say, I'm fat and pregnant and like still cute, still feeling good, still wearing the clothes that I like to wear has been really empowering for folks and myself that I didn't know was going to be a thing. And
Yeah.
I'm happy that it is.
Yeah, yeah, that's lovely. I love that. I love that. And well, I mean, we've talked behind the scenes, but congratulations on the baby.
Thanks.
I'm very excited
Thanks.
about it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we are approaching the end. Thank you so much again for sharing all of this information and your experiences and your journey with us. I like ending my episodes, probably because I'm just too much of a professor in my mind. I like ending my episodes with three little things, or like three key kind of takeaways, strategies that we can, I think in this case, either take to make fashion friendlier with fatness, more inclusive, but maybe also to embrace the diversity of fashion, maybe to learn to love our bodies more within such an exclusive industry, and especially within the kind of regression of body positivity that we've seen lately.
Yeah. One thing that I say all the time, and we've mentioned it in this episode, is clothes are meant to fit you, not the other way around, especially because sizing is so inconsistent and it's just like, hit or miss. The size of the tag really means nothing. And like I talked about with my t-shirts, if something doesn't fit, there's no need to do anything to your body about it. Like you can maybe there's a DIY hack for it, but at the end of the day, you can just get a different shirt, get a different dress, get a different pair of jeans. Like there's no need to squeeze yourself into something that doesn't fit when there are other clothes out there. Now they might be harder to find depending on what size you're in, but at the end of the day, it's not worth feeling dejected because you're squeezing into a pair of jeans that are old. You're going to feel better if you just buy a new pair of jeans. So that's tip number one. I try to stay optimistic that like body trends come and go. Thinness is in. It has been. It was 20 years ago. All of these things are a cycle. Like I think they're gonna come back. I don't know that fatness is really ever gonna be like in, but I think body acceptance will be on the rise, hopefully in the next few years. So hang in there. If you chase these body ideals, like even in the scope of like thinness, it was like bigger hips, a bigger butt. People were getting different cosmetic procedures to achieve certain body shapes. And now they're removing those procedures or undoing them or doing different things. You will never win. You'll never perfect it no matter what you do to try to change your body to fit a standard. It's just a trend. So it's not worth chasing. And lastly, I think when it comes to plus size fashion and like being comfortable in what you're wearing and trying to get confident in dressing, like break all the rules, like there's so many of these rules around plus size fashion. You shouldn't wear horizontal stripes, or you should always cover your arms, or you should always wear like something that shows off your shape. Like don't do all that. It's so much more freeing when you find things that you actually like to wear. And I have plenty of horizontal stripes in my closet, and they're some of my favorite things to wear. I used to be so scared of not having something that accentuated my waist because that's the smallest part of my body and you're supposed to show that off. Like if I look bigger in my outfit, if I look oversized, if I look whatever, that's not the end of the world. I'm fat already. It's okay if I look fat in the outfit, It's really constricting to try to dress like we've talked about, like always looking thinner, always looking the most flattering. Once you get rid of those rules in your head, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, and then also who says it's more flattering? It's these
Right.
ideas that we've been fed, and they're really just like an invention. Like, yeah, I break all the rules, regardless of your body size, I would say.
Seriously. Yeah, for real. So those are my takeaways.
Thank you. I love them. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, lastly, I wanted to ask if there's anything that we can do in return for your generosity. I think everyone should follow you, and I will definitely link to your social media. But is there anything else that you would like support with or to call the attention to?
Yeah, I mean, following me on social media is great. I'm on Instagram and YouTube primarily. I also have a podcast as well. It's called A Dose of Sass. So if you want more of this, you can go listen to that there. Not to plug my own podcast on your podcast, but
No, please do. Yes. I had forgotten about the podcast, but yes.
yeah. I know I don't talk about it enough. So I've got lots of episodes over there. I talk about diet culture. I talk about plus size fashion, body image, all the things. So that's another place to find me.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I'm super excited to share it. Thank you.
Thank you. This is great. I could talk about this all day.
Maybe we'll have a part 2 at some point.
Great.
My conversation with Kaitlyn was actually amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really love her approach to fashion. I learn so much from her every day. So I hope you enjoy it too. As always, please leave us comments, questions, ideas, anything you have. And if you have any suggestions for future guests or topics for the podcast, please also send them my way.